So in this lecture, we're going to be looking at all the metalinguistic terms needed for semantics. Now recall that semantics is a study of meanings of words. Firstly, we're going to look at semantic field. A semantic field is a set of words or lexemes related in meaning. They are often defined by subject matter. For example, military ranks such as corporal, sergeant, or colonel. Other semantic fields could include the medical profession, or it could include cars or birds. Next we have irony. Irony is the use of words to convey a meaning that is the opposite of its literal meaning. For example, I love working on the weekends. Mind you, there are various types of irony. Next we have metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech containing an implied comparison. For example, to grasp a concept, or the world's your oyster. Next we have oxymoron. An oxymoron is a figure of speech that juxtaposes elements that appear to be contradictory. For example, awfully good or alone together. Next we have simile. A simile is a figure of speech in which two dissimilar things are compared. For example, she's like a rose. Next we have personification. Personification is when a human nature or characteristic is attributed to inanimate or animate objects. For example, the sun is smiling on us today. Next we have puns. A pun is a humorous use of words so as to emphasize or suggest its different meanings, often by exploiting different meanings of the word. For example, I used to be a banker, but I lost interest. Next we have lexical ambiguity. Now remember that ambiguity means unclear. This is where a word has two or more possible meanings and can cause confusion in a text. Therefore, often inference must be used to deduce the actual meaning in that context. For example, I rent this place versus I have to pay the rent today. In both contexts, rent has a different meaning. Next we have synonyms. A synonym is a word with the same or similar meaning of another word. For example, buy versus purchase. Next we have antonyms. An antonym is a word with a direct opposite meaning. For example, buy versus sell. Next we have hyponyms. A hyponym shares a type of relationship with its respective hypernym. For example, purple is a hyponym of color, or black is a hyponym of color, or a magpie or chicken is a hyponym of bird, or Ford or Holden is a hyponym of car. Next we have idioms. An idiom is a phrase where the words together have a meaning that is different from the dictionary definition. For example, to give me a heart attack is not literally to give me a heart attack, but rather that it could indicate shock or surprise, or even disbelief. Next we have denotation. Denotation is a literal meaning of a word, i.e. the dictionary meaning. Next we have connotation. A connotation is the associated or secondary meaning of a word or expression. For example, black in terms of denotation or the dictionary meaning means the actual color black. However, in terms of connotations, it may have negative connotations of racism or even connotations of death or authority. Next we have euphemism. A euphemism is a substitution of a mild or indirect expression for one thought to be harsh or taboo. For example, to pass away versus to die. Next we have dysphemisms. A dysphemism is in direct contrast to a euphemism. It is the use of a harsh or offensive statement in place of a euphemistic or neutral one. For example, what an arsehole.